Why, hello there, internet peoples. How are we today? I hope you're all prepared for this match here between etium and Eriror. This is the 2019 Titans Mitts of 2019. Wow, what a name! Versus Eriror 216. Now the Titans Mitts are undefeated, I believe, but etium has his a task in front of him because Eriror is by far one of the best execution players in the scene today, or all time. I am Coy here on the comms, and with me is Esmar. How you doing, Esmar?
I'm doing pretty good. You know, it's where I am. It's a nice Saturday afternoon. Sitting down to watch some Link to the Past randomizer here. I believe our looking at these loadouts here, we've got casual boots today. So it's gonna be a nice quick seed without a lot of downtime. So we gotta stay on our toes.
I always feel like casual is such a misnomer for this mode, because like an NMG is, you know, the same thing, right? You start with the sword and you go through the escape, but nobody would call NMG casual.
Yeah, I believe the casual comes from the fact that you do start with the sword. That it's a more casual way to play the game versus I
It's
think
definitely
the standard mode you get.
I think it's it's about how it compares for randos specifically, not so much like the execution is casual, but for the first 6 minutes of the game we basically have no decisions to make. We just go through the escape and open chests, so that's a lot easier and thus more casual. But you know, once we get out of the escape, the seed opens up completely and it's just a normal seed at that point.
Yeah, and we're getting into it right now. So we're gonna have, of course, the beginning of the game. It's going to be fairly standard up until they press the A button for the first time, and then they're gonna start running really fast, which you don't usually do in The Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past.
So a funny little caveat is during the rain state here, you can't swing your sword. They have a sword. They do have a sword, but they can't swing it. But they can still dash through bushes like they have a sword. So you saw Eriror and etium there going through the bushes while dashing. Normally you would bonk, but they have the sword. And then once they talk to the uncle, the sword does show itself, and we can go on through. Now we already have 3 bombs, so the drops don't really matter. And even if they didn't have 3 bombs, they'd still be able to get the back of escape with the boots anyway.
Yeah, it is nice to have those bombs coming out, though, because you do need a couple for the Kakariko checks. At least 3. You might need another if race game is important.
You can see Eriror there killing an extra guard, trying to check the prize pack that the guards are in. I've seen a heart. Did we get 2 hearts?
No, I haven't seen. Also worth noting that, I mean, right now they only have the first sword, so they're not going to kill these guards with one dash attack anyway. But even if they had the master sword, it actually doesn't drop items from enemies if they're killed with a dash attack.
Yeah, it's a kind of a funny thing you don't really think about, but that is exactly how it works. So not to like belabor the point or anything, but Eriror is very good at this game. His execution is definitely top tier. That's not to say that this is a lost cause for etium or anything. Etium can absolutely win this race.
Yeah, Randomizer is sort of the great equalizer in terms of things like that. Good execution buys you a little bit of wiggle room to make bad decisions, but if you make enough bad decisions, it's still bad for you. So it's
yeah, the higher
for sure anybody's
player,
race.
The higher execution player will be able to check more things in the same amount of time. But in Rando, what matters is what things did you check, right?
And there's also a fair amount of, I believe, I don't know that much about etium, but I know Eriror is an NMG runner, fairly highly ranked, I think one would say. And just a lot of that grinding with consistency with things like, you know, lower percent bosses. We find the ice rod, so we're not going to be hunting for that today.
Yeah, there's a lot of overlap for rooms between the different speedrunning categories and then randomizer, but randomizer definitely you have to have a lot more general knowledge, and Eriror is no noob at rando, right? This isn't his first rando. He's done a lot of randos as well as all that speedrunning. Definitely one of the most dangerous players to come up against.
That being said, his team is down, so that's no pressure, right? Yeah, so we're about half done with this escape sequence. We've got 4 more chests that we're going to be opening before the end of it, and the world breaks right on open. We haven't really seen any important items other than the ice rod, but that's not going to really factor into any major decisions early on.
Nope, just a normal escape, going through, pushing the things.
Yeah, you'll notice that we have a light cone, even though we haven't found the lamp. You're given a courtesy light cone in escape in standard modes, because otherwise it wouldn't be very much fun. So that's 1 down. We've got a full heart in Dark Cross. Not the Sanctuary heart, but it's a nice thing to see. You know, you like to see hearts early on because then you can skip them later.
That was why did he freeze that? I guess he was checking the freeze pack.
Yeah, it's just nice to have a little bit of knowledge.
I'm not sure how the freeze pack works for Rando. It's not something.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a special pack for freezing. I know there's the stun prize is randomized. Anytime you stun an enemy and kill them, they drop a set item. It can be very helpful if it's a full magic or a fairy. It can help you out in a pinch if you get that knowledge early.
Yeah, I'm curious if he was actually checking the pack or something, or if he just accidentally ice rotted that rat there.
Yeah, possible. We do have quick swap on, which means that we don't have to menu to change our items. Oh, and I sort of misspoke earlier. We do have 1 last chest, and it is the hammer.
All right, both players open it, so that's good.
Yeah, sometimes if you haven't seen either you're going to see the small key going through escape the front way, but if you haven't seen the map, then you know that the last chest is a map. So you usually want to pay attention.
These guys wouldn't be the first players who think they didn't get the map right.
Yeah. At that point, like, if there's a shred of doubt, you just open it. It's not a huge time loss. But that hammer is very important, but it's actually not going to open up anything early. Hammer on its own is not particularly useful.
Yeah, at the very least, it just means that when we do finally get Dark World access, don't gotta worry about the hammer location. It's very uncomfortable to route the game without the hammer.
Yeah, it's there are a lot of weirdness that goes into it. You know, even if you get Dark World access without having to defeat Aghanim, as Etium finds a nice 20 rupee from the bush crab, you can still be logically required to get the hammer to access or to defeat Aghanim to access the Palace of Darkness area if you haven't seen the hammer yet. Depending on what other items you have. So having that hammer just answers a lot of questions before they're even asked.
Both runners taking the time to get some extra rupees from the bush crab, although different bush crabs. Nice glove pickup, just a moon pearl away from Dark World access now.
Yeah, so very, very unlikely at this point that we're going to be seeing Aghanim. At least until the very end of the game. Ooh, that's a tier 2 tree pull.
Tier 1.
Maybe tier 2, tier 1. Anyway, one of the tree pulls is rupees, so that's really nice to see. Because it sets us up nicely, because we do have to spend 100 in Kakariko for the bottle vendor. And you always like to have 500 just in your back pocket in case your route brings you up near King Zora, and you can just take care of that check too.
Etium really going out of his way for these resources, getting the double tree pull, the bush crab, and then even goes after the 50-50 rock for a 4th bomb. I'm surprised
it's sort of leaving nothing to chance. Ooh, that's a very nice place to find the flute. You can hop down and activate that right away.
Yeah, flute and a bottle here.
If we find the mirror, that could be that's an almost scary amount of options. Because that opens up the left, or the right side of Death Mountain. And having that available really early on is kind of it's nice, but it kind of raises the question, is like, well, is it worth going up there, or do you put it off until maybe you even find another glove upgrade in the Moon Pearl or something? We do find the bow. This is looking to be a very well equipped seed.
Yeah, but at the same time, having too many things too early makes for a really uncomfortable seed, right? When you have too many options.
In my experience, the big one is early mitts changes so much, because it changes so much about what areas you have access to in the Dark World, how you can move around. If you don't have the mitts, you're really restricted in how you can navigate, the Dark World. You can't access Dark Death Mountain at all. But with the flute, it's sort of a similar thing for, early light world exploration. Is the flute opens up so many routing possibilities, it makes it a lot harder to decide which one is optimal.
I think at the very least we'll see our runners do either South Shore for Mini Moldorm Cave or just go into Eastern, since it's a crystal.
Yeah, with the boots and the flute in hand, I would say it's probably not necessarily, and with all the other stuff, the flippers haven't shown up, so that those checks aren't even in logic. You may well decide to put off Ice Rod Cave until later, since you can get back to it fairly quickly later, and you might just prioritize that dungeon clear right away, since we did find the bow. It's not in logic because we don't have fire yet, but neither of these runners are going to need that.
Yeah, I don't really think there's any reason to not do Ice Rod Cave. Like, typically, you might see somebody not do Ice Rod Cave early because they're hoping to get the flute to get there faster later. But we already have the flute. Ice Rod Cave is not getting any faster. So if you don't do it now, it doesn't make sense to ever do it.
Yeah, it would be it sort of minimizes the time loss of gambling on it, but yeah, it would, if you do South Shore, you would definitely continue on to do Ice Rod Cave.
Ether Medallion on the race game. Arir's going to go back for it. Etium also going to check the item first. Sometimes you see players just do this blind.
Yeah, I tend to check it first every time if I have the boots, just because it's not as much time to go back. If I haven't found a lot in the village and I don't have the boots, sometimes I will just go in, just because it's I've gotten burned a lot of times by finding like the one item I needed there was on the race game. It's like, I should have just gone right in. But most of the time, it's a safer bet.
6 seconds for Etium. Look at him making up time already. All right, both runners going to the dam. We're neck and neck. Just a screen transition away from each other. Oh, Eriror. Did you see that? It was the anti-fairy skill. There's a very, 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 very small window for dashing out of the room before the anti-fairy blocks your path. It saves almost nothing, but it's greater than 0 for sure.
Eriror also putting that Ether Medallion to good use. Etium doing the same thing. It's a faster animation than something like Bombos, and kind of takes out the guesswork of, say, maybe using the Ice Rod, which itself is kind of slow. The Fighter's Sword takes a couple slashes. In this situation, it's the fastest way.
That mirror you were talking about showing up as well. East Death Mountain, now a thing. You're going to go all the way to Ice Rod Cave.
And now we were talking a little bit before the race started, but one of the things that Etium could trip up on is trying too hard to play up to his opponent. As we're seeing Etium making the move of skipping Ice Rod Cave, prioritizing, you know what, that's one item, you can come back later for it if you absolutely need to, but you're maybe trying to take the time save here. And the issue with that is, even though we did see it on Arir's side, it's not going to go away. That check is going to be lingering in the back of etium's mind for quite some time here now.
He's gonna have to go there eventually because we just got the mitts there.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll figure it out. Don't worry.
The mitts are actually kind of a good item to be there, in a way, because sort of like a locked mirror, it limits the amount of places that you can find it. The problem is with that Death Mountain access, it's not unreasonable to hope it's up there.
I'd be surprised if he went to Death Mountain before checking Ice Rod Cave, because there's a lot of downside to Death Mountain, right? Like there's things that could be locked on Death Mountain that you don't have access to yet. Where Ice Rod Cave is as fast as it's ever going to get right now. Area checking for the Moon Pearl here in Desert Palace. Very likely to find something in the Mire area with this early equipment set between Flute, Mitts, and Mirror.
So we actually don't know what we're looking at for Go mode yet, since we haven't even seen the Dark World. But that being said, we're going to need to find the Moon Pearl at some point for sure.
It's somewhere.
Other than that and the hook shot, I think we have seen every other item that is guaranteed to be required.
It's like Desert was a bust. Area are going to check checkerboard. And he forgot he has... Oh, no. His bunny sprite is just regular Link. I understand now. I was like, why isn't he dashing? Mire area not having the answers. Area gonna check Agina here real quick before making his next play.
Yeah, I would imagine after this, I don't know. I guess I was thinking Hype Cave, but no Pearl.
Eastern's like the safer play. Like there's not much downside to Eastern. It's just like you have to do the dark rooms, but no big deal. But it's looking like the mountain, most likely Paradox Cave, is going to have the progression at this point.
And the upside is if the Pearl is in there, then the only thing that can't necessarily be checked, really, the only big thing is Hookshot Cave, of which we can check one of the chests again if the Pearl shows up.
King's Tomb also not the answer, so the Mitts not helping us get Dark World access. So this is impactful that the Mitts didn't lock the Pearl. Because if etium finds the Pearl before going to Ice Rod Cave, when does he go to Ice Rod Cave, right?
Yeah.
Because suddenly he has the entire game to look for Mitts instead of just Ice Rod Cave. Did I miss something there on Erir's screen?
I saw the tail end of it. I'm not entirely sure what he did, though.
Was he clipped into the wall? Did I miss that?
And so this is sort of exactly what we were talking about. Erir's got more checks done. Etium has the dungeon lead here, but as Etium's finishing up the dungeon, Erir's just beginning it, and Erir's gotten all of those other checks done. The Mire area.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're pretty even as long as Etium goes to Ice Rod Cave.
Yeah. It comes down to that Ice Rod Cave, but it's sort of a matter of time and when Etium goes to that Ice Rod Cave.
And then even that though, like getting the Mitts late isn't necessarily a bad thing either. Having fewer locations available means you don't do all those
especially
other
with with Tower of Hera and Eastern Palace both being crystal dungeons, you can get a lot of progress done without even needing to go to the Dark World. So you can still be doing stuff that's ultimately helpful to you.
Go to Ice Rod Cave. Etium. Why? Why would you do a Gina before Ice Rod Cave? You silly Billy. All right, Eddie, I'm gonna go to Agina's Cave here. We did see this from Eriror's side. It was empty, but then he save and quits. Now you go to Ice Rod, right? Right? Please? All right, we're good. Everything's fine. We're back to being even.
Yeah, so at this point, I imagine it's a pretty obvious play to go up the mountain pretty soon. You know, maybe clear up something. You know, King's Tomb.
Yeah, Eddie will probably go to the desert area first, but then the mountain right after.
Well, we did already see Etium check Desert Ledge and Agina's just now, so it's really only Checkerboard Cave.
Yeah, checkerboard in the front of desert.
Yeah.
But like it's like I was saying earlier, this is a very conspicuous item set for the start of a seed. Like 90% of the time you have Mit's mirror flute. The moon pearl's over here, so it makes sense to come here first. Not the case today. There was no progression here, but this is why he's coming here first.
If we noticed, we have Pendant Turtle Rock, so that Ice Rod doesn't even matter.
Or does it?
Could. Item on Trinex.
And it was Ether to open Meyer, if we didn't see that before.
Now, did we see Eriror enter Desert Palace?
Yeah, he did the front of desert. It was, I think he got both items, but there was no progression. Yeah, he got both items. So the bombs are there, and then there was like a heart piece or something on the right side. Or the big chest, rather.
Etium padding the bonk count.
Slick Armos kill there from Eriror. You might have saw him fire like an extra arrow down when he was transitioning between the right shots and the down shots. Say it's like 10 frames or something. Frames matter. Save the frames.
So we also noticed Sahasrala mentioned that we have Green Pendant Thieves Town. So deciding whether or not to do that dungeon could be a potential decision later on. Of course, not going to really matter until we find the Moon Pearl, but that's going to be showing up most likely on Death Mountain at this point.
Eddie, I'm deciding to sequence break Meyer Shed here. So he's going to perform a glitch we call Super Bunny, because you become the super version of your bunny form. He did this by mirroring on the same frame that he entered the room. And while you're in the super bunny state, you can open chests and dash and swipe your sword. But you can't use Y items except for the mirror. Etium does have the mitts. They just, the tracker's being finicky today.
Yeah, so we're going to be wanting to keep an eye on Eriror's screen right now, as he is the first one up the mountain and is likely going to be finding those mitts, or not the mitts, the Moon Pearl before too long.
Yeah, you can see the difference between them right now. Like as soon as Etium checks King's Tomb here, he'll then go to the mountain, which Etium's been on for about a minute or so. They've done all the same checks. Etium's just a little bit behind. That execution advantage, it adds up slowly and slowly throughout the seed.
Etium also had that extra trip to the desert because it didn't have mitts the first time through.
Yeah, a little bit more efficient routing from Eriror for sure. No Harapot today. You need the hook shot for that.
Here's the bomb setup as well, but I would imagine that an efficiently played.
No, you need the hook shot.
Do you need?
100%.
Oh yeah, you need the hook shot to hook shot into it, right? It's
Yeah,
I'm thinking hook shot without boots. You can't do it without the boots. With the hook shot, if you don't have boots, you can do it with the bombs. Yeah, but you need the hook shot to actually pull yourself.
Oh, Etium got dead rocked. Feels bad, man.
I never really hated the dead rocks until I realized you can't magic cape through them, and I was like, really? That was when I decided that they must be stopped. Ooh, that's some nice tech going up that ladder.
You pretty much only do that with a quick swap because typically it's not worth it to menu twice. But if you're in the super speed state while on manual stairs, if you are carrying an object, you walk faster. There goes crystal number 2 for Eriror. Showing no fear to hammer Trolldorm there. Wow, missed his spin speed. Might as well just reset. It's not even worth it. Nothing on the island.
Yeah, so I imagine, well, we're probably going to be seeing that Moon Pearl show up pretty soon. But
it's most likely
if we somehow didn't see it show up, you'd still be able to check the Super Bunny Cave. They'd be out of logic, but those checks are perfectly available to both of these runners as is.
I wouldn't do it. Like, I don't think it's a good sequence break.
Yeah, at this point, because if the Moon Pearl doesn't show up, I think the only other option would be King Zora. Etium takes a fall there, setting up the bomb jump.
Yeah, very
costly fall, 2 floors.
He basically has to restart the whole dungeon because of that.
The thing I always tell myself when that happens to me is like, well, at least Tower of Hair isn't a super long dungeon. It always sucks, but you have to rationalize it somehow.
That's a very precocious bomb jump. You either I always tell people when they ask me about that bomb jump, I always say, if you can't 100% do this every single time, don't bother, because the cost for falling like that is so high. Etium can't do it 100% of the time, but he has to pay attention.
Eriror found in Paradox Cave the flippers and another sword upgrade.
Kind of annoying that the game's making.
Yeah, it's annoying. It does make the progression pretty obvious, though. You just get those flips checks done, and the Moon Pearl's got to show up now. Because I don't think I'm forgetting anything, but before those flippers showed up, I think the only other logically available check was King Zora.
Yep.
So those flippers was actually kind of the best additional item to find.
instead of going to Zora, we go to Zora. And
the worst option would have been finding the fire rod, because that would have opened up. Well, no, that wouldn't have opened up anything really. It just would have allowed them to complete desert.
We could have found.
Yeah, because that could be pyramid pearl, everybody's favorite.
Oh, interesting hookshot location.
That's actually
And
a very good hook shot location.
We'll have access to that as soon as we have Dark World access, since we already have flippers and mirror. You know what else?
Both of these runners know they're going for the Moon Pearl here.
As soon as we find the Moon Pearl, which is right there, we can now do Ice Palace. Ice Palace is a thing, and with that hookshot, Swamp Palace is a thing, and Pod's a thing, and Desert's not a thing. Mire is almost a thing. We're like what, a Fire Source and Kana Samaria from low mode?
Powder on Zora Ledge. So that could be Moon Pearl on Magic Bat.
Yeah, could have been. So this is kind of a gross seed.
This is really
very few things are required to get this seed.
This is what I would call an execution heavy seed, because it ends up just railroading.
No,
so
they're not railroaded though. That's the problem. They can do everything.
Well, I mean, like for this Moon Pearl hunt though. I mean, this is just time that's if your execution is good, those little time saves are really adding up over the course of this first half hour that you're just hunting for the Moon Pearl.
Yeah, what I expect to see here is our runners to just start doing crystals. Like Eriror is going to go get this hookshot and not go into Swamp, I imagine. He might do Swamp first.
Wait, so I guess I missed the Moon Pearl showing up. Where was that?
It was Waterfall Fairy.
Okay.
Yeah, we got the Waterfall Fairy. Yeah, so do Hype Cave here, and I wouldn't go into Swamp just yet. I don't think we need to do that quite yet. It's kind of a big play. I guess it wouldn't be that bad as long as you're not committing to left side too early.
Yeah, left side is the one thing you can sort of speed up about Swamp Palace.
Oh, and there's the Kana Samaria. We are a lamp from potential go mode.
Yeah, because we don't need the Fire Rod for either Turtle Rock or Skull Woods completion.
Wow. Yeah, well, we might logically need the Fire Rod for like east side of GT for the big key, but that is sequence breakable with the lamp. So I think a Fire Source period is go mode for these runners.
Yeah, I would imagine at this point, Ice Palace seems like a pretty good play at this point. It's not really going to get much faster.
Before the cane, I wouldn't have said so, but yeah, with the cane now, I think Ice is a pretty decent play. I think I'd still do Pod first.
Well, the cane also allows you to finish Misery Mire, because we did get the medallion for that.
There's 2 chests on the left side.
Oh yeah, Firelock. Yeah.
Firelock chests. We'll need to fire.
Oh yeah, and Eriror didn't sequence break Mire Shed, so.
This is so silly. What a silly seed.
Yeah, and so at this point, Eriror wanting to check those Mire Shed chests, kind of is like, okay, you dip into Misery Mire.
I don't like this at all.
Yeah, see, that's going to be a slight advantage that etium is going to have. Is etium's not going to be tempted to go for that, because this seemed pretty okay when there were those 2 Mire Shed things, but they were both garbage. So
if the big key isn't Firelock, this isn't really a big deal.
Yeah,
because he just goes through it, and then he guarantees gets to skip those 2 chests, which is nice.
It's that
But if the big key is Firelock, this is kind of a decent time loss, right? Because he's gonna have to double dip this. Never mind any time that might be lost by having to do the Mire Dark Rooms instead of having the lamp. But there's no guarantee we even find the lamp this seed.
Yeah, I mean, Mire Dark Rooms don't have to be that bad if you're practiced enough with them. It's widely considered the hardest Dark Rooms to do without the lamp, but there are ways to get around it. It's all just practice usually.
I can't imagine why he's doing this. I figure he's either like, well, this is not the worst double dip in the world, or just forgot he needs fire. It happens to the best of us.
Yeah, and I'm sure the presence of Mire Shed factored in too.
Right,
because if he's lucky, he doesn't have to think about this quadrant of the map at all until I guess it's time to do desert.
Yeah, it might have just been like a decision of convenience, right? Like he just happened to be here. Okay, so he does know he doesn't have fire. That's good. And it looks like Etium's going to check Hobo and then probably go on to Palace of Darkness next.
One more chance for Eriror here.
Eriror setting up his Death Warp, I guess. And the big key is fire locked. Feels bad, man.
Yeah, so I think Etium is actually going to make that Ice Palace play we were referring to earlier. That Bombos medallion is actually going to come in rather handy. Because you don't need to have the Fire Rod if you've got Bombos.
That's right. I figured he'd just go to pod since he was right there.
Looks like Eriror's making the Swamp Palace play here, too. So, as soon as we got that Moon Pearl, the paths diverged instantly.
Sorry, my headset died, if you said anything. I'm back now, though.
So we're going to see what's in Ice Palace here. Big Key showing up early is kind of nice to see in an Ice Palace full clear situation. He's deciding to go back and flip the switch anyway, though.
Yeah, you still want to hit the switch. Typically, you want to hit the switch in any situation where you plan to kill Cold Stare. Like, it's less important since he has the big key, but, you know, there's still the possibility that you just get 3 items really quickly. And don't want to have to go all the way to Ice Tea to get your last small key. Area going Swamp first. That's definitely a legit play. I mean, of all the dungeons we have, this is the most items.
Yeah, it
But
seems
it's
like
also the biggest potential times thing.
yeah, I mean, it seems like he's banking on things being in favorable locations. Because if you're lucky, you don't have to go left side, and it doesn't matter. But we saw how that worked out with Meyer.
Well, I like of all the dungeons they had to do, I like Ice the most because we can do Icebreaker, which means that it's a very efficient and fast pull there. Not a big time loss if there's nothing here. And then secondly, Bombos leading to Fire Rod is kind of one of the most common situations you see in Randomizer.
Yeah, and Fire Rod doesn't really make it much slower. It's the time you lose from the Bombos animation. But, Fire Rod doesn't make Ice Palace faster. You don't put Ice Palace off until you have Fire Rod to save time. Concern. Whereas, Swamp, if you're go moding Swamp, you can just forget about any of the chests, really. And Misery Mire, you might need Fire, and we do. So, yeah, not going immediately into Ice Palace is a little bit of a questionable play no matter how you're slicing it, really. It's a nice diver down from Eriror.
Yeah, he does the one
give
frame
runners
the 1-frame version of it.
Yeah, I've seen that give runners a bit of trouble. It's like a lot of tricks in this game. It looks more free than it is.
Well, the way he did it is a little more difficult, I would say, than like the typical setup. But either of them, it's not that bad.
So far, I don't think we've seen anything import in either of these dungeons. Obviously,
yeah. Well, the thing
picked up the red mail.
The only important thing we could find is go mode. So until we have that, every single location just feels the worst place you could have gone.
Yeah, the one thing that's nice is Fire Rod not showing up means that we're not going to be seeing, most likely not going to be seeing a Turtle Rock dip. That makes it a lot less likely. Of course, Fire Rod could be first chest Turtle Rock.
Oh, Eddie misses his first slash there and immediately gets bumped twice.
That red mail coming in clutch for the save.
Yeah, red mail definitely helps a lot. But it's they still hurt really bad.
Yeah, red mail is the kind of item that you don't want to have, but it just quietly saves you in when you mess up. It's like, no, I got you.
Yeah, Eddie going back into swamp here. I know he has the big key to check, or the big chest to check. I'm not sure how many items are left though.
Yeah, one of the reasons I cold stared. Ooh, the shovel, that could be important.
Could be. It's so terrible.
One of the reasons the cold stare does so much damage, I believe, is because it's the that's in vanilla. That's the dungeon where you get your mail upgrade, and I think it's supposed to encourage the player to fully explore the dungeon before clearing it. But of course, it's perfectly doable with green mail.
Eriror leaves after the big chest, does not go to left side. I'm not sure how many items are on left side, if any. I don't think I was paying close enough attention for that. But, usually there's one, at least.
Yeah, Eddie might be making the Swamp Palace play here, too.
Swamp, yeah.
Why
did we
by
hate
the
pod
numbers
today? What's wrong with pod?
Yeah, I mean, it's...
I
don't know, maybe the lack of lamp?
Ice
since
pod.
Those items aren't in Logic, but there are a lot of items that are in Logic and Pod, so... Right, and it's one item less rich than Swamp. And if you have to go left side for Swamp, it's not exactly worth that one extra item.
I mean, there's a small concern for Pod because the dark rooms are less fun. But they're not that bad, especially for runners of this caliber.
Yeah, like at a certain point, I don't think we're assuming that they're putting off Pod because they don't like the dark rooms. That seems a little.
You know what it probably is? It's probably because the Logic. Now that I think about it.
Yeah, there's a lot that's out of Logic and Pod.
The lamp or the fire rod would be the answer. So sequence breaking, the thing we need for go mode, maybe not the best play. Yeah, that makes sense. I didn't think about that earlier.
At this point, it might even be likely that we might even see Thieves Town at this point. If it's on Green Pendant turn in, can do that and then check Pod. I don't know. I wouldn't say it's a smart play, but it would be kind of silly.
No, they're not going to do that. I assure you. They will absolutely do Pod before getting the Green Pendant.
The
fire rod can be in GT. The fire rod is not required for any of our crystal dungeons today. So potential divergence here if etium were to go to left side. I don't think he would do it before killing Argus, but if he comes back in for the big chest, he might continue on to left side. Chat.
Yeah, we'll have to pay attention to...
There was an item there.
Yeah, there was one item, they said.
Or was he diver down here from etium? He'll probably set it up the other way. There you go.
Yeah, nice little bit of tech picking up the pot to avoid having to spin the sword.
We found both items in Desert Palace. One was on the torch and the other in the big chest. All right, simultaneous boss fights. Let's go.
Yeah, so Actually, at this point, Eriror, knowing that Misery Mire requires the fire rod,
Fire source.
it's kind of good, or yeah, a fire source, is kind of good knowledge to have at this point, because you'd really like to, you know, avoid having to make a climb up the mountain to Super Bunny and Hookshot Cave. So we're likely going to see Etium dip Mire before that happens. You know, in doing the same thing, hoping that, you know, it's not going to be hard required, or that it's in there.
Pod first, at least.
Well, yeah, hopefully we see Pod in fairly short order. 'Cause it's possibly in there, and if it's not in there,
Pod that's locked behind the lamp and/or fire rod, but that doesn't preclude the possibility that the one locks the other in Pod, right? And then there are chests that aren't locked by either in Pod as well, so it wouldn't be the first.
And the fact that, you know, you can clear the dungeon without them.
Yeah, and it's a crystal. So
they need to do it anyway. They don't really care. They're just, I imagine they put it off this long because it's a lower chance that the item they're looking for is actually in here.
Yeah.
And if they can find it, it makes it a little easier. But at this point, it's like, okay, yeah, you know, let's just get another crystal, and maybe we'll get lucky.
The real interesting thing in this seed is what happens when they both run out of crystal dungeons. Where do you go, right?
Yeah.
Do we go front of the woods, or
Smith
are we going
chain?
Smith
Yeah.
sequence? Do we go Dark Death Mountain? Are we diving the front of TR? You know what? There's so many options that it's very unlikely that our runners are going to do the same thing. And divergence is how you win or lose seeds, right?
So now the front of Pod here is guaranteed to have at least 4 small keys. It can have up to 6. There are 6 chests. 4 of them are guaranteed to be small keys. But that means the opportunity is there for 2 of them to be items. It could be the lamp and the fire rod.
Sure. Yeah.
But then again, I think that, and then the turtle chest in the back, and then depending on key logic, the harmless hellway are the only chests, the only checks in this dungeon that are currently in logic, fully in logic. So that leaves the 2 in the dark basement, the 2 in the dark maze, plus the big chest, and then the boss are the checks that are not in logic.
They're not going to skip anything, though.
Yeah, they certainly aren't. But
the lamp might be on the Smith, but that just means the fire rod could be in the dark maze.
Yeah. Yeah, now we are seeing the runners in lockstep. However, Eriror is a Misery Mire dip ahead in terms of knowledge and checks completed.
I call him a Misery Mire dip behind.
yeah, it could be, but I mean, like, if you think about, you know, what they've accomplished so far, it's something to keep in mind, because Etium might end up making the same time loss, albeit a little bit later. It's on the table until we see that fire source.
You're opting to just kill Helmasaur. Not a bad play here. Helmasaur could absolutely drop the fire rod, and you gotta kill him anyway. Etium going to pod clip. Oh, he missed it. To pod clip. There we go. Second try. To the back here instead. Don't ask me how that works. I don't know. You just place the block and dash next to the pit, and it works. Something to do with Link to the Past being unable to do 2 things at once, like pretty much every other glitch. Alright, simultaneous darkness. I don't know what's going on. I'm scared. Eriror not having the nicest turtle room. He did get 3 of them pretty quick.
Yeah, I've said it before, but the hardest thing about dark rooms is if you get hit, because the recoil is, you don't exactly know what happened, and so that's when you lose track. If you get hit once, then you lose track of basically everything that's going on. So setups are really important in those dark rooms.
Looks like he made it through. This will be the warp right here, and then the last hallway. Eddie, meanwhile, is in the dark maze, trying to make his way to these two chests.
Yeah, so far it's looking like Area made the right choice here. Etium hasn't gotten really much of anything out of these checks.
Why? He's going to go back in. Surely.
Unless the fire odds on Helmassar.
Well, yeah, sure.
Half magic, that's handy. Not necessary, but handy. So one of those items that when I see it, I'm happy to see it until I realize, like, well, does that really save me any time? Especially, you know, when you go like all the way, say, to the end of the dark maze for it.
All right, so nothing in the back of Pod. Eddie's going to go to the boss to get his map and crystal, I guess. Eriror just got his mapping crystal, and surely we're going back in.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. I mean, it wouldn't be the craziest thing for him to leave.
Yeah.
It'd be pretty crazy, but it wouldn't be the craziest thing.
Yeah, it'd really be just a matter of, you know, because there's so much that can be checked right now, and it would be a risk. And I would say it's a risk you're not comfortable making after losing out on that Misery Mire play. It'd be like, okay, you know, like after doing that, you don't make the ballsy play of just leaving half of Pod.
So the question is, what do we do? What do we do next? Right.
I would say it has to be Outcast's area.
Yeah, I think Outcast Front of Thieves is very, very reasonable. I think going up to Dark Death Mountain is not unreasonable either.
Yeah, that's certainly the more upfront, costly play in terms of time, but in general, I mean, you've got, what, 4 chests in Hookshot and 2 in Super Bunny, plus Ether Tablet and Spike Cave, which neither of them did earlier, because it didn't really make any sense to do it.
What? They didn't have a room for.
That's really the main reason it didn't make any sense. And then, you know, overall, the Village of Outcasts area is going to be taking more time to, you know, to do all of the checks in the area, because they're, you know, kind of spread out. You know, it's a dungeon dive. We did find
even if they do go to Village of Outcasts here, like there's still a question, like, how much of Village of Outcasts do we do? Are we going to the back of Thieves? Do I do the Smith sequence afterwards, or do I go up to Skullwoods?
Yeah, Smith sequence is a little tempting because of the powder find earlier. But then the flip side of that is, you know, well, you can't. Do you flute the purple chest straight? Skip the purple chest because we haven't done K45 Stumpy dig game either. There's a lot of stuff, a lot of overworld that's still been done because they've been prioritizing dungeons as one generally does.
All right, we are both done with Pod. Where do we go? Eriror fluting away. He heads to
Mountain. Okay.
Dark Mountain. And Etium goes to Village of Outcasts. This is that divergence. Who finds the fire source first?
Yeah, so at this point, where could it be? I mean, okay, obviously if it's on Dark Death Mountain, that would give Area the advantage. But is there anywhere on the overworld that it could be where Area doesn't lose too much time if it's not up here?
Catfish.
Yeah, that was sort of my first thought too. If it's on Catfish, that's going to be the last one.
Pretty much the great equalizers.
Yeah, we do have Cape, so Bumper Ledge could be checked, but we've already done King's Tomb and Bonk Rock, so it's a lot less attractive of an area.
Very dense check here for Eriror. There's about 47 chests in this dungeon.
And that's a good thing to see. Item in the first chest of Thieves Town. One of them is guaranteed to have the big key. There's a small key. That's not ideal.
Hookshot Cave, nothing to note about.
Yeah,
Okay,
there's
moving on to Super Bunny.
four
Super
more
Bunny's thinking.
chests. So yeah, 4 more chests in the overworld on Dark Death Mountain and Death Mountain for Eriror. Plus the possibility of, well, no possibility of a Turtle Rock dip until Quake shows up. Mushroom.
Oh, hey, a fetch quest. Great. Awesome. Well, he needs to buy potions anyway, so it's fine. Eddie, I'm not continuing to the back of Thieves. I'm gonna stick with just the front.
I
Don't
kind of
blame
wouldn't
me here.
either at this point. Again, with all of that overworld that still has to be done. So that was 2 items in the front. So there's 2 in the back plus the green pendant on blind.
All right, Spike Cave. We can only
Spike
hope.
Cave and Dig Game. Kind of nice to have the half magic for this. It just makes it convenient. Doesn't speed it up any, but...
All right, Dark Death Mountain, not the answer. Eriror having to leave and go somewhere else. Eddie, I'm gonna go Smith sequence. Hoping for his fire source that way.
Yeah, so we're getting into the realm of true fire rod hunt here.
Yeah, Eddie did skip the back of Thief Sound. Eriror could make a different decision there.
Yeah, it's not an unreasonable play either way. I guess it sort of makes a little bit more sense to skip it, since those front 4 chests are not a huge time investment and the back is a little bit of a time investment, but it's not so big that, you know, getting the 3 potential checks out of it is, you know, unilaterally not worth it.
This is not a fun seed.
Yeah, this is the kind of seed where you do not like racing this seed, because it's like, okay, you know, it was pretty long, like crazy route to that moon pearl, and then it's like, okay, now we can do everything until we find fire, you know.
There's 2 different go mode items, and we still can't find the darn thing. Please, game. Magic bat. What does he have? Not anything good. Rip. All right, Eriror has preemptively switched to mirror, so I don't think he's going to do the back here. So this currently Etium has the lead if this route eventually leads to a fire source.
Throwing off some tech there to make the walk with the purple chest a little less painful and slow. And after checking Stumpy and the flute spot, Etium will be able to sort of, you know, dash and just leave the chest behind. Because if you mirror from the Dark World and interact with the guy in the desert before the iframes wear off, it still counts you as carrying the purple chest, even if you left it behind. Find the bloomerang. It's fancy.
Or was it the shovel? We've had the shovel for so long now. It was not the shovel, thank goodness.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Did not turn in the mushroom?
A mushroom was in Super Bunny.
He didn't turn it in though, right?
He didn't. I don't think he's been over there yet.
That's weird. He should have turned the mushroom in. Because like that was the one thing he got, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully it's nothing.
I mean, well, he doesn't know that Etium didn't also go up the mountain. That's the thing. Neither of these runners know for sure that their opponent isn't doing the same route slightly faster than them.
The the only information he does have is that he did go to the mountain, and the
It
only
does
thing he
give
found
him
there
a
was
reason
the
to go
mushroom.
towards catfish.
Huh?
It does give him a reason to go up towards catfish if it ends up being there.
Yeah, I guess so.
So you can route in pyramid, catfish, and mushroom as opposed to just pyramid and catfish. It's a little more enticing for area here. Neither
Right,
tablet
so,
though.
yeah, Etium's route did not pay off, the Smith sequence route. And now he's just going to go to the mountain.
Yep, and
Darn
that's
it.
now it's equal.
And now Eriror kind of takes the lead here. Because he's going to continue this route and end up where Etium did, but he already did the mountain, so he'll go somewhere else.
Unless
And
it's
he'll get there a little bit before Etium.
and etium just goes straight there.
Maybe, yeah.
We're just wildly guessing at what these runners are going to decide to do at this point. You know, safe plays are kind of out the window at this point.
Yeah, well, you can only play density. Like, there's no
Right.
logic to try to read here. And you have multiple go mode items. Like, what are the chances that all the most dense places of the game have nothing? That's ridiculous.
Yeah, and since
No way. It's gotta be Headshot Cave, right?
yeah. And I mean and now it's like, okay, you know, you could have made the play of going to the back of Thieves Town. You could make the play of going and checking the front of Skull Woods as like counting it as Dark World Overworld. But it's just like you really just have to go for density. There's nothing, because usually in lieu of density, it's, you just do crystal dungeons, and we're kind of out of crystal dungeons. Etium does have Misery Mire, but with the possibility of it being firelocked, it's not a very attractive option. So I think it's wise of him to not fall for that bait.
I think it would have been a fine play if he did do it.
Yeah, but it's
like,
in retrospect, it's wise.
Well, yeah, we know the answer, but I think both ways are fine. Like, sometimes the ice rod's in Turtle Rock, right? But sometimes it's also on Smith sequence. Yeah.
Every decision really at this point is kind of like that. No matter what you choose, it's a fine play at the time. And it's whether or not it's the right one is gonna be what decides the race.
All right, so what do we have left? We have Pyramid, Catfish, Mushroom, Graveyard Ledge, Bumper Cave, Front of Skullwoods, Back of Thieves, Green Pendant. Get your guesses in the chat.
Yeah, so neither runner has been into Skullwoods at all. Neither has been North Dark World at all. But they got mitts early, so we have seen King's Tomb, as well as Bonk Rocks. Kind of interesting to see Eriror not leaving the chest behind here to get to the turn-in a little faster. Because, as I mentioned before, you can actually do that.
All right, so Eddie, I'm surely going to turn in the mushroom. Very first thing.
You gotta kiss the old man before you leave.
Mwah.
Yeah, see, the thing is, do you turn in the mushroom immediately, or do you try to
Apparently
route it in?
Like, I would turn it in
Because, like,
immediately.
turning in the mushroom right away when you still have pyramid and catfish, it's a longer gamble.
Little faster overall, like if we're doing all the checks, right? But we don't want to do all the checks. We just want the go mode.
I personally, after deciding between, Village of Outcasts and Dark Death Mountain, and doing Dark Death Mountain second and finding only the mushroom up there, I probably would have gone straight to... I always assume worst case scenario. I always assume my opponent got routed, so I feel like I just make the big play. And then it works out, and sometimes I feel like a genius, and sometimes it doesn't work out, and it's like, well, that's reasonable. It was a gamble anyway.
Well, we're back to being lockstep. Both runners opting to do Skullwoods before turning in the mushroom.
Yeah, and again,
that's right. Left side swamp we have to add left side swamp to the list.
Ah, yes.
Forgot about that.
Yeah, this is sort of similar. It's kind of density. It's not very dense, but it's kind of the best way to route them all in. For example, like, we can turn in the mushroom immediately, But if we have to go all the way to catfish, you can do mushroom on the way to that, so that's a little bit more efficient. And this is just the last place you want to be in a seed. It's just like, okay, you know what? If my opponent makes there we go, French vanilla fire rod. And that's
so
the
we
lead to
have a
Etium.
race, yeah.
Eriror are going to be close behind though.
So Etium's gonna
Extremely
lose a
behind.
little bit of his lead here in Misery Mire.
And Misery Mire, yeah.
Because he does have to check a couple extra chests before he makes it to the Firelock side. And if the big key ends up being the cutscene chest, then he's going to check all the chests before making it to the Firelock side.
Well, unless there's I didn't pay attention to what else we all found in there, but if there's a small key in the top Firelocked chest, then he knows that the big key is going to be in cutscene chest.
Yeah. It's just Eriror having already done all the other checks when he's going to go in and immediately go to those two Firelock chests.
Slight lead to Eriror, in fact, here.
Yeah, especially with this cutscene animation. Oh, he even makes it inside the dungeon first. Yeah, Eriror having a very decent lead. Definitely not, like, unapproachable, right? Like, this is...
yeah, I mean, GT could equalize
literal
it.
seconds here. No. The Eri did lose time from the Mire double dip. The Mire double dip did not save him time. It's just it didn't cut into his lead enough. He's still okay.
Yeah, and that's sort of the same thing that I mentioned earlier. You know, that's sort of what execution will do for you. Is it buys you some leeway for errors to sort of, you know.
All right. Yeah. So this is worst case scenario. Etium's going to last location, the big key here.
Yeah. So wait, what was in top Firelock chest?
A map.
Ah, okay, yeah. Because if it's anything other than the small key, it doesn't tell you anything. But if it's a small key, then that prevents you from last location in cutscene chest at the very least. You still don't like to see it because that means you have to do cutscene chest, but at the very least, you don't have to wonder if it was the right choice to just do it first.
Oh, I wonder what's in the cutscene chest. Oh, it's a big key. Yeah, the cutscene chest, it just takes so much more time versus the other checks that it's typically a good play when you're only looking for the big key to come out here and do these last two first. We can't get DMCA'd for live performances, you guys. It's okay.
No, Etium messing up the gate dash there, or the fence dash. I actually don't know what people call it.
Oh, do we have like an official name?
I don't know, but whatever it is, it looks super cool. It looks super cool. Unfortunately, we don't get to see it today. But it's essentially the same concept as icebreakers. You extend your door state and it considers solid objects to be obstructions or something.
Yeah, not quite as impactful as icebreaker, but definitely the same tech.
I think it looks a little swaggier than icebreaker personally, but and of course we're not in logic here because the lamp is logically required for the room that Eriror is in right now. But I think choosing between doing this room in the dark and continuing to hunt for the lamp, I'm pretty sure it's a kind of a no-brainer.
To answer chat, yes, the lamp is logically required to beat both Pod and Misery Mire, but we don't care because we have a fire rod, so it's fine. With the advent of advanced item placement, there is one very rare scenario where the lamp can not be required for the seed. But it would require very specific pendant dungeons and the Eastern Big Key to be before its vanilla location.
Yeah, it also would technically help for it to be a standard seed, just because it doesn't... that sort of reduces the need for important items to not be in the escape sequence. So it's a little less rare in a standard seed versus an open seed, but Still not terribly likely for a no lamp seed.
So etium does get his big key and is headed towards the boss. So we're just these Meyer Dark Rooms and Vitreous apart from each other. Definitely a very comfortable lead here for Eriror. But the Gain Star big key can definitely make a difference.
It warms my heart to know that even the top runners here misplace their portals sometimes. And mirroring straight into walls. For some reason, it's really hard to just know where you got a mirror in order for you to not, teleport straight into a cliff face or something.
All right, made it through the dark rooms. Those are some of the more annoying dark rooms to have to do. Opt to go for some cape strats here on
Yeah,
Vitreous.
with that level of health.
Dashing through the eyes is kind of fun.
Yeah, it's a very satisfying kill. It's especially satisfying with the gold sword, because it's just a very fast kill. But here we have Eriror collecting the final crystal. We don't have TR today, so this means that we're going to be opening up our GT big key.
Am I doing the command?
Yeah, go for it. But if my counting is correct, which it isn't always.
What, you gotta put your number in after the bot message, you guys. If you put it in too quickly, make sure to put it in again.
1 out of 22 chests contains the Ganon's Tower big key required for the climb. Get your guesses in as to which it will be. I'm guessing we'll close when Eriror enters Ganon's Tower, which will be here in probably a minute or so.
It's like 90 seconds.
It's one of the most important phrases for a caster to know is "or so." It covers.
They're just like, I can't think of how many races that have been won or lost by having an extra mountain climb. So you get a feel for like how long it takes.
And another late game thing that can decide races is Ganon falls. But given our equipment, I would say that's not super likely, and especially with these runners. So that's not something you can hope for at this point. You don't hope your opponent makes a mistake like that. You still have to perform right until the very end here. But Eriror with a relatively comfortable lead. So if the big key shows up pretty fast, this is not looking good for etium. All right, and we're seeing left side first. Number 1, the key, we're picking that up. We're not going to be seeing Bob today. And I believe that's 2, 3, 4, 5 here. And we're seeing the Dark Magician strats here. So after grabbing,
okay, so I gotta talk about this for a second because it's a pet peeve.
Yeah.
Dark Magician specifically refers to when you go to the left side first to the Dark Magician's room, and then go to the right side and go all the way to Ice Armos. If you're gonna mirror after Compass Room, it's not Dark Magician anymore.
Yeah, I mean that's what I do most of the time. People say it's a bad idea, but
Yeah,
it doesn't
nobody
bite me
actually
that
does
much.
Dark Magician. It's really rare to see somebody actually do the whole Dark Magician strat. So typically you mirror after Compass Room at that point, which is commonly referred to as the Wayne route or the Pink Magician strat.
Not really going to matter this time, as Eriror has already found the big key.
Yeah,
I
in the
believe
Hope
with
Room.
Hope Room. Yeah.
Feels bad, man. So etium can save some time, at least.
Yeah, the problem is with how the Dark
Oh,
Magician
thanks, Yonka's wife.
opening
I
has
forgot.
become so sort of, it's become pretty ubiquitous. A lot of people like to go for that. Just for the guaranteed, ability to go right side, the coverage that it gets of the fast early chests. It's not as common as I feel like it used to be to see Hope Room first. But, we might see it from Etium here, and that'll make up some time. Still a nice lead as Eriror goes through the gauntlet here.
And etium does save that time, immediately getting the big key there.
Now, do you expect either of these runners to open chests on the climb for the silver arrows, or not even bother?
I don't know. I guess you might see them open the left Helmasaur chest. Sometimes you see people do that. And you might see them open the post Moldorm 2 chest. Just because you're like literally touching it. But I don't know. It's not really a big deal. Very low % chance of getting silvers. Just depends on whether they value those 2 seconds more than the possibility. I mean, it's certainly worth it if the silvers are there, but there's so many checks they haven't done this seed.
Ooh, just barely enough magic there.
Yeah, I don't actually know if he has a magic refill.
Oh, we do,
In a
because
bottle.
there was a green potion in Dark Magician room.
Okay. I mean, he could have just dropped down and grabbed the full magic in the pot if it really came to that.
So Eriror decides to, again, skip that chest. It's a little longer, but opens both of those Helmasaur chests. And takes a fall to Moldorm, which is a very risky strategy. I wouldn't recommend it myself, but
it looked like he was going to attempt to hover and got bodied a little bit for the trouble. Let's see it again. Do it again. Oh, here we go. Hover. Just swagging all over the place. So no chest there. Watch it be the silvers.
Everyone's skipping that one.
God, I hope that's just the silvers so bad.
That
would be hilarious.
How we won't even get to know from the Ganon hint either. It looks like etium was having a little bit of trouble here with the gauntlet.
Yeah, definitely not playing as well as I know he's capable of. Maybe nerves get to him as he. This is a really gross seed, and like with how long it took him to find the fire rod, right? You got to be thinking like, how is Eriror not finished yet? This is crazy. Just knowing you still got a chance.
All right, and we have Eriror about to drop into the Ganon fight. So if all goes well, this is how long would you say it's going to take Eriror to defeat Ganon with
2 minutes?
Sword Silverless. 2 minutes. All right, counting
two,
now.
2 minutes is like optimal, like a little bit less than 2 minutes is optimal.
Gets the double. Dash pokes. I would
It
say
wasn't a terrible seed in the sense that it was a very fast seed and everything, and we didn't have to do a lot of really gross things. But it was a terrible seed in the sense that we were doing a 1v1 race, and our go mode item was our go mode item at about like 30 minutes, and it took us forever to find it. And like, you know, if you so like imagine if this was like a 12-person race instead of a 2-person race, right? Just one guy says, you know what, I'm gonna do Front of Skull Woods because why not? And he just wins the race by 20 minutes, and everybody's really upset. Oh, I wasn't the silvers. Feels bad, man. Very nice triples here from Eriror, except for that one. Rip. I shouldn't have said anything. My bad. I'm sorry, Eri.
that's all it's going to take for Ganon. So, barring a very, very strange fall down this pit, Eriror is going to secure the win here. And that is an official racetime.gg time of 1 hour, 19 minutes, and 14 seconds.
GG.
So essentially a cutscene and single Ganon fight lead here. So it's still a very close
couple minutes.
And we've got etium dropping into the fight here. I actually didn't catch where Ganon said the arrows were.
Oh, I have no idea. I never read it.
I read it sometimes if I'm curious.
Usually my chat reads it for me, and then I get, oh, okay. But I never read it myself. So I don't know if etium typically has the race room open to know that Eriror finished, but if he did, I imagine he's gonna like, probably not happy that he's not gonna win this seed, but probably a bit relieved that the suspense is over at least.
Yeah.
It did kind of look like nerves were affecting his execution there in GT.
Yeah, and so that's going to be the first loss on record for the 2019 Titansmiths of 2019 here. And a very close loss. I think he said Light World for the arrows, by the way. That was a good long
I forgot to read it again.
Oh, he said his tower. Okay, yeah. See, I was guessing. I admit it.
All right, so we're agreed. We're gonna tell Eri that they were in the Moldorm 2 chest. I'm having a little trouble here with his Ganon fight.
Yeah, it's a little tight. Once you have the rhythm down, it's not hard to mess up, but if you get off your groove a little bit, it can be sort of hard to get back in. Like Stella, etium needs his groove back.
Should just be one more. Darn, I was guessing.
And there we go. And that will conclude this race with
GG.
an official race time of 1 hour 22 minutes and 35 seconds. So just over 3 minutes, 3 minutes time difference there, which is that's a close race. That's again, that's the kind of time that that you can save with those tiny piddly little time saves over the course of, an hour and a half. Not a lot of routing decision went into this. We had a little bit of flip-flopping, but
No, I think there was a lot of routing decision. They just ended up doing all the same things.
right. I mean, there's
Like,
a lot of decision that went into the race for sure, but not a lot that went into who won in the end.
Right, yeah, exactly. They did end up doing all the same things. Just in, like, different orders.
Right. Yeah, I think we're gonna see if we can get them in for an interview here. We've been having some issues with the bot that manages a lot of the stuff, since Discord is has been receiving some slightly unfortunate updates lately. So I hope you'll all bear with us as we try to get this interview set up.
Yeah, it looks like we are definitely going to get at least one interview. Etium joining us in the booth now.
Yeah.
Are you able to invite Ari?
I can give it a shot.
There he is. Hello, Eriror and Etium. Welcome. GG's.
Yo,
GG's.
So first question, are you crazy? Why didn't you guys turn in the mushroom?
I just forgot.
Yeah, same.
And then I was like, oh wait, I can I'm gonna do Schoolwoods over to North Check, so I can just turn it in on the way to Catfish anyway, so I wasn't super worried about it.
Yeah, that was kind of my idea too. I was going to do South Loop first, and then just do North Loop, and then I can combine it with Great Red Ledge and Catfish, and it's just a few seconds faster in the grand scheme of
For
things.
sure.
So.
So from our perspective, this is like a super unfun seed to race in a 1v1, but the reason it's unfun didn't actually end up mattering because you guys both did all the same things.
Yeah.
So at the end, it really was just an execution advantage, which we all agree Eriror is pretty good at Link to the Past.
Yep. I don't think I will ever touch 123, let alone sub 130 NMG.
So you guys definitely had some divergence throughout the seed, going to different places at different times, but everybody converged in Skullwoods. So the okay, we're now in Fire Source Go mode. What do I do first situation? Etium opted for Ice Palace. Eriror opted for Mire. Talk to us about that, Ari.
I just wanted to check if I actually needed a fire source for Mire. It's probably one of the more awkward applications it could be. I was feeling pretty confident, with my routing in a light world, so I thought I had a small edge. Finding out if the big keys on left side is pretty good regardless, in my opinion. It's good information to have to see if I need it for both Desert and Mire or just for Desert. Other than that, I didn't actually check what the medallion I needed was the first time I was in the Mire area, so I had to check that to see if I just needed a fire source or a fire source and Mire medallion. That was the second point.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. We were a little worried at the time that maybe you forgot about the possibility of the big key being firelocked, but just looking for that information definitely makes a lot of sense. Now, you both did leave behind left side swamp, but Etium, you also left behind the big chest. Were you worried about that?
I mean, a little bit, but I had to cut corners.
I thought maybe we'd see one of you go back in after Bombo's tablet. when you both did the village and south route.
I just had so much, like a ridiculous amount of stuff open. Like, you know, what's the odds that there's no fire source anywhere in Village of Outcasts, Smith Chain, Pod, Mountain?
Yeah, and you're looking for either fire source. Like either one would have done the job.
Yeah, so it just seemed better to focus on the high density areas.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. So yeah, back of Town would have taken a bit longer. Didn't think that was worth it. Left side swamp, of course, that's like a huge time investment. Other than that, I thought it was pretty thorough, especially after I was done with the main crystal dungeons. So it was really just left side swamp and back of Thieves that was like, okay, maybe this is a little bit greedy, but like if you're looking for 2 possible items, even though one can be locked behind the other, it's, yeah, I felt like we could be a bit more aggressive, and I thought that etium would be a bit more aggressive as well, especially considering how straightforward the rest of the seed was.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I just want to know what the time would have been if I'd just gone straight into Schoolwoods. It probably would have been like a sub 110.
It would have been a very fast save.
Yeah, I mean, if you know where the fire source, like if it would be Sparta-esque and stuff, then yeah, I mean, would have been sub-hour even, I think. Like if you just find the rest and then like get this magical voice in your head, hey, fire out in Skullwoods, go there, then you're done within an hour.
You know, thinking about it, I think maybe going Skullwoods first would have made more sense than the route you guys ended up taking. Because then you go south to like to the swamp area, and then you go north and you just hookshot over to Graveyard Ledge on the way to Catfish, and then you can work out both of those locations.
Possible, yeah.
I mean, it would have paid off this seed, but I don't know. Like, it was different though, because you went to the mountain first, but Etium did the Village of Outcasts first, and then you just flip flopped, and both of you did all the other checks that the other one already did, and then you both ended up in Skullwoods at the exact same time.
Yeah, I was thinking I shouldn't go to the mountain because after I did Village of Outcasts and got nothing, I was thinking like he probably went to the mountain first. So I don't know. It was kind of a split-second decision to go up there, but I mean, I think I might have been better off just assuming it's not up there.
It's really hard to assume it's not up there, though, especially with, you know, the hook shot being in logic for so long. It's a dangerous assumption to make, and you hate to make it and be wrong about it, especially when you're assuming your opponent went up there first.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, the longer this league goes, the worse you feel about your decisions and thinking, well, it's not that bad of a decision to at some point check Skullwoods, so I mean, if I do it now and it's there, I'm gonna feel real bad. And well, I mean, that's what happened, of course. But I mean, it's like that every single decision you make. Like, and it gets worse the more you go down the list.
Yeah, especially with how front-loaded the seed was.
Yeah, and
should I have done left side swamp? Should I have gone a back of phase?
Yeah, and like in the back of your mind, you do know that there is no reason to go to the Village of Outcasts area, like, at any point, because you probably see that the hookshot is on Lake Halia. So you do Hypecade, get King, get hookshot. It's like, okay, I just need a fire source. Just go through all the crystal dungeons you can and see if it's there. Like, there is no reason to touch either of the pendant dungeons. So, but you know, logically, that's what's going on, but you always worry.
Terrible seed. Fast, but terrible.
I agree.
Yeah, it was fun to execute. There were some cool things in it, but yeah, it's pretty terrible racy, I guess.
Yeah, it's kind of like the inverse of the ice road hunt, right?
Yeah, The only thing I really want back is my cold stare fight. That was really, really bad. I missed the initial spin and then like had to use a potion because I kept getting hit. I probably lost at least 30 seconds on that fight.
I wanted to ask you about your Gainus Tower execution, Eddie. Was it nerves? Because I watch you play quite a bit, and you're way better than I saw you playing.
Yeah, I was definitely a little nervous. I was like every 10 seconds, I was looking at the race room because I was just very surprised he wasn't done. Like I was looking at the race room at like 105 because that's just how fast this seed could have been.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I had the same because there was like it could have been any location and you could have done it in any order, right? So for me, it was pretty much the same from an hour on. It's like, oh man, I could be really boned here. So I can totally imagine it being the same for you, yeah.
Well, guys, I think we've exhausted everything there is to know about this really interesting but terrible, but also fast seed. Unless you guys have anything to add, I think we're about ready to wrap it up.
The usual, thank you very much for the race. It was a pleasure.
Yep.
That ended up being so even.
Yeah. And thanks to the commentators and trackers and stuff.
Very much so. We'll be listening to it at some point. So thank you very much for coming, and hope to see you all in the coming weeks again.
Yeah, our pleasure.
Good luck with the rest of your races, and see you in some division finals or something.
Same to you.
The Titansmiths do take a loss today, but they are still very highly ranked. Definitely lots of wins under their belt, and probably more to come. But that's going to be it for us today. Esmar, do you want to close us out?
Yeah, sure. We've got another race coming up tonight on SpeedGaming 4. That one is going to be I Like Big Boots versus 2 Pearl, 2 Furious, featuring Ganon's Gone Wild versus Trinex. And so that's going to be coming up at 7:10 Eastern. And I think that's all we've got for the Invitational League tonight. So with that said, I've been Esmar. This has been Koi, and
Hi.
Good night, good afternoon.
Bye, everybody. GG's.